7 times 3. 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49.
49. 7 times 7. And then 56. I was just testing. I was just testing.
Okay, that's the math lesson for today. Here we go. For the record, state your name.
I can't understand you. I didn't understand what you said.
State your name for the record.
I can't hear you. Do you think you could speak up? I can't understand you.
All right, do you believe this is loud enough? Do you understand me?
Yes, I think so. You asked my name. Is that right?
That is right. Do you think you can give us your full name?
I believe so. I think that's good. I didn't hear you before. It's Joe Black.
I can't remember if I asked you this. Do you remember when the accident took place?
I can't recall. I don't think it was this year. Do you have a date for me?
Do you understand that I don't want you to guess? Do you believe you can give me the exact date? I understand it was a long time ago. I can't give you the date.
Well, I didn't think it needed to be exact. I can't remember.
Do you have any documents that state when the accident happened?
I didn't remember to bring any. I didn't think I would need them.
Do you have any at home? Do you know? Do you believe you could find them?
I can't remember. I didn't know I would need them. I don't believe so.
Do you think you could look at home? I can't proceed without them.
I believe I could, but I can't recollect where they are. I think I have them.
Do you recollect the plaintiff's name? You remember that part, is that right?
Yes, sir. I remember him. I can't recall the full name. I recall his first.
What was that? Do you remember? Do you have his first name in mind?
I think what happened was he called me after the accident happened.
Do you understand that I need his name for the record?
I think it's John. I can't think of his last name. I can't remember it.
Do you think that could have been his attorney? Do you know who it was?
I don't think so. I believe it was him. I think that's correct, sir.
Do you understand that in order to proceed, we need this information?
I can't help you if I don't recall. I didn't think it was that important.
Okay, we're doing sixes now. Okay, repeating for the record. State your name.
I can't understand you. I didn't understand what you said.
State your name for the record.
I can't hear you. Do you think you could speak up? I can't understand you.
All right. Do you believe this is loud enough? Do you understand me?
Yes, I think so. You asked my name. Is that right?
That is right. Do you think you can give us your full name?
I believe so. I think that's good. I didn't hear you before. It's Joe Black.
I can't remember if I asked you this. Do you remember when the accident took place?
I can't recall. I don't think it was this year. Do you have a date for me?
Do you understand that I don't want you to guess? Do you believe you can give me the exact date? I understand it was a long time ago. I can't give you the date.
Well, I didn't think I needed to be exact. I can't remember.
Do you have any documents that state when the accident happened?
I didn't remember to bring any. I didn't think I would need them.
Do you have any at home? Do you know? Do you believe you could find them?
I can't remember. I didn't know I would need them. I don't believe so.
Do you think you could look at home? I can't proceed without them.
I believe I could, but I can't recollect where they are. I think I have them.
Do you recollect the plaintiff's name? You remember that part, is that right?
Yes, sir, I remember him. I can't recall the full name. I recall his first.
What was that? Do you remember? Do you have his first name in mind?
I think what happened was he called me after the accident happened.
Do you understand that I need his name for the record?
I think it's John. I can't think of his last name. I can't remember it.
Do you think that could have been his attorney? Do you know who it was?
I don't think so. I believe it was him. I think that's correct, sir.
Do you understand that in order to proceed, we need this information?
I can't help you if I don't recall. I didn't think it was that important.
Okay, so that last one was at 200. Okay, we're going to do this in 20s.
Are we doing 4 days today?
I think we might be doing 5.
Oh,
I think, because I think there was an extra. I think there was an extra in there. In the packet. Okay. Get your own.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I feel so important.
Okay, we're going to do this in 20s.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm starting on that.
Okay.
All right. For the record, did they change at all when you were pregnant?
No.
So your back pains remained the same during your pregnancy, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you have natural childbirth?
No, I did not.
Did you have a C-section?
Yes, I did.
So no labor.
No labor. They had to take my baby early because she was getting too big. She was a 10-pound preemie.
Did you have any change in your neck symptoms during your pregnancy?
No.
Currently, what's going on with your right upper extremity? What are your symptoms currently?
The same as before.
And the back pain, would you say that you have back pain occasionally?
Yes.
What activities, if any, are there that increase your back pain?
Lifting, sitting for too long, like right now, bending, stooping.
I noticed that when you first got up that you used your right hand and wrist in assisting you. Did you have any discomfort in that activity?
Yeah, it's become normal to me. There's discomfort continuously in my right wrist.
My question was, did you have any noticeable discomfort in your right wrist when you just assisted yourself up from the chair?
Yes.
And how would you describe that?
Pain in my wrist.
And were you having pain before you just got up and you used your right wrist to help you up?
When I move it, only if I move it.
And this is just pain in the right wrist, correct?
Yes.
Dr. Berry talked to you about surgery. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you're not interested in surgery?
Not at the time. I felt that I was unable to have surgery because of my baby.
What type of surgery was discussed with you?
Carpal tunnel surgery to fix the tendon, I believe he said.
Have you had any change of opinion or mind, so to speak, in terms of surgery?
I thought about it a lot, and I spoke with several people who say that theirs was better after surgery, and I spoke with several people who says theirs was worse after surgery, and I'm just sort of still up in the air about it. It's just sort of a toss-up as to whether just to continue to suffer the pain or take a chance of getting worse pain.
How long do you plan being off work to care for your child?
Until she goes to school.
Kindergarten?
Yes.
Which is what, 4, 3?
About 4 years, 5 years, yeah.
She's only 6 months.
Uh-huh.
You have no future doctor's appointment in relation to treating for your injuries for July and November 92, correct?
Correct.
Is it your claim that you were disabled from February 11, 93 until April 93 when you received EDD benefits because of your industrial injuries?
Correct.
Who certified your disabilities for EDD during that time?
Herman, I believe.
Had you ever received EDD benefits before, other than this period of time we just talked about?
I don't think so.
When you go back to work, what are your intentions in terms of what kinds of work you want to do?
I'm not sure yet. I don't want to go back to the same job. Find something with less lifting, less physical.
Is there anything that you claim that you cannot do now that you could do before because of your injuries of July and November of 92?
I can't lift like I used to. I can't lift the amount of weight that I used to.
Anything else?
I can't open jars like I used to. Can't drive my standard shift car like I used to.
Why can't you drive your standard shift car like you used to?
Because for some reason it makes my arms start going numb and my leg goes numb and up into my hip.
Your right leg?
Uh-huh.
How much could you lift before July?
I never measured the pounds.
How much can you lift now?
I don't really know as far as exactly how many pounds. I just know that I'm not as strong as I used to be.
Had you had any x-rays of your neck and back in relation to the auto accident? Do you recall?
I think so. When I had the accident, I believe they did. Yeah, because when I seen that one chiropractor, I think I seen him 3 times, he took x-rays.
Any other limitations?
Not that I can think of.
And the only limitations that you had at work when you went back was that you couldn't do lifting and you needed someone to help you. Is that right? Or assist you?
or no?
Nope. I gave that dictation back in November of '95.
I was one.
You were one? Oh, man.
Oh, well, it was a good day.
First I was feeling nostalgic, now I'm just old.
I know. Oh.
Mine was on the 10th.
Was it a good birthday?
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was, you know.
By Mother's Day.
I opened my eyes, I got out of bed. It was a good day.
And you have a job and all kinds of blessings. I don't know why they crossed that out, but it won't be raised. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, sure. My pleasure.
Did you end up moving too?
Moving? No,
Right.
not yet. That's been a constant, a constant search.
I'm sorry, Robert.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's all right. It happens. If it's meant to be, it'll happen.
Oh,
Okay.
that saying. It's true, though. It's so true.
Okay, here we go. We're going to do this in 15s.
Yay. My favorite number.
Okay, for the record. Mr. Arnold, what do you do for a living, sir?
I work retail.
Okay, and do you have some sort of a relationship with the Bureau of Automotive Repair?
I used to be an operative, like an investigator for them in the past, a few years ago.
And generally, what did you do as an investigator or for the Bureau?
I would be asked to take a car into a shop and asked to have a smog check done on it.
Okay, directing your attention to July 9, did you take part in an undercover operation for the Bureau?
Yes.
And where did you bring the undercover car?
To Excellent Smog and Brake on Grand Avenue
Okay, and under whose direction did you do this?
under Ray Sands.
Okay, and who do you know Mr. Sam to be?
He's the representative for the Bureau of Automotive Repair.
Do you recall the type of vehicle that was used on that date?
A Honda Civic.
And did you use your own name when you went in?
No.
What name did you use?
John Seville.
How do you spell Sevilla?
Sevilla.
When you arrived at the place, and I'm going to refer to the facility as Excellent Automotive for short. When you arrived at Excellent, what did you do once you arrived there?
I went and I asked for a smog check.
I am placing Exhibit 3 before the witness. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that document to be?
This is the invoice I filled out for the smog check.
And how is it that you recognize that document to be yours?
Well, it's initialed. It has my initials on it.
I see, your initials.
Well, no, the initials are my alias, John Sevilla, or JS.
And that's in the upper right-hand corner.
Yes.
Placing before the witness Exhibit 4. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
And what do you recognize Exhibit 4 to be?
That's the receipt that came out of the smog machine.
And how is it that you recognize that document?
It has my initials on the upper left-hand corner.
You mean the initials JS?
Yes, JS.
And Exhibit 5, do you recognize Exhibit 5?
That's the certificate that I received.
And that was on September 9, correct?
Yes.
Was that at the time you requested the smog inspection?
Yes, that is.
And do your initials appear on that document as well?
In the upper right hand.
When the car was first released to you by Mr. Sand, did you drive directly to Excellent?
Yes, I did.
Did you make any stops along the way?
No.
Did you pay for the smog inspection?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall how much you paid?
It was $49.99, I believe,
How did you pay for the smog check?
with cash.
And once the inspection was complete and you received the certificate of compliance and the other documents, what did you do next?
I returned to Mr. Sand.
And when you returned to Mr. Sam, did you give him any of the documents?
I gave him all the documents.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further. Mr. Sand, where are you currently employed?
With the State of California Bureau of Automotive Repair.
And what do you do for the Bureau?
I am currently working in the enforcement program.
How long have you been with the Bureau?
I've been with the Bureau about 6 years now.
And what is your job title?
Program Representative 1.
Are you currently licensed with the Bureau?
Yes, I am.
And what license do you hold?
I hold a mechanic's test and repair license.
Okay, and that authorizes you to conduct smog inspections on vehicles?
Yes, it does.
How long have you been licensed as a test and repair specialist?
About 10 years.
Are you familiar with the California Smog Inspection Program?
Yes, I am.
And how did you gain your familiarity with that program?
Initially, through participating in a smog economic program. Then I came to work for the Bureau. I would conduct the inspections of the stations to be licensed as smog check stations, along with conducting training seminars for mechanics as well as the inspectors.
Are you familiar with a piece of equipment called a TAS analyzer?
Yes, I am.
And how did you gain your familiarity with that piece of equipment?
Prior to coming to work for the Bureau, I was an instructor for a TAS manufacturer in that I would give instruction to the mechanics on the operation of the TAS unit.
Now, the TAS analyzer is a computer-type device, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, briefly, how does it work?
It leads the individual or the operator of the unit into 3 different phases of the test, the initial phase being the visual phase, the second being the functional phase, and the last being the exhaust emission phase.
Okay, and must each of these 3 phases be successfully completed in order for a certificate of compliance to be issued?
Yes, in order for a test to be completed, yes.
Now, did you release a Bureau of Automotive Repair Honda Civic to John Arnold for the purpose of an undercover run?
Yes, I did.
What instructions did you give Mr. Arnold at that time, if any?
I asked Mr. Arnold to please take the vehicle to the repair facility, request a smog check, and come back with the paperwork that was given to him by Excellent.
And that repair facility being what?
Excellent Smog and Brake.
Before releasing the vehicle to Mr. Arnold, did you perform a vehicle inspection of the vehicle?
Yes, I did.
And what inspection did that reveal?
I inspected the vehicle for the location where the fuel evaporative canister was supposed to be. It wasn't there.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it was not there.
What's the purpose of the fuel canister?
Fuel evaporative canister is basically there to collect the hydrocarbons coming out of your gas tank.
So in other words, when the car is sitting idle before it's running, the fumes that would otherwise escape into the air from the gas tank, those fumes would go through the canister and be recirculated back into the system and burned?
Exactly right.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you, sir. That was at 200. We slipped a few times back down into about 190, but
That's a good word.
yeah. Evaporative. All right, let's do this in 16ths. I know how to do 16ths. Okay. Ready? And that's what we're at right here.
Okay.
For the record, please state your name for the record.
My name is Louis Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy, how old a person are you?
At the present time, I am 30 years old, but my birthday is in a couple of days.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Mr. Kennedy, we're here to discuss an event that occurred in September of last year. Do you know what I'm referring to?
I certainly do.
Tell us what your activities were that particular morning. How did you begin your day?
I woke up early because I knew we had a lot of work to do. The construction company had been working on this development for several months, and we were determined to complete it as soon as possible.
Did you set your alarm that morning, or did you wake up without the alarm?
I don't remember.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Your construction company usually requires you to be at work by 8 o'clock in the morning. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Did you get to work before 8 o'clock?
I certainly did.
What did you do after you got to work?
I got out of my vehicle and walked over to the truck I was going to use that day. It was already loaded with construction equipment from the evening before.
Did you immediately get in the truck in order to drive to the place where you were working that day.
That's correct. I was able to leave right away.
Tell us in what direction you traveled.
I headed in an easterly direction, but the accident happened before I had a chance to turn north onto the highway.
Is it correct that the accident you are talking about occurred at the intersection where the railroad tracks cross the road?
Yes, that's right.
What did you see as you were approaching the railroad tracks?
I did not see anything unusual. There are no markings at that crossing. There are trees and bushes that block the view of anyone coming toward the intersection from the direction I was traveling.
Do you remember anything about whether the sun was bright that morning?
Yes, it was early in the morning, so the sun was shining right into my eyes.
Were you wearing sunglasses?
I don't believe so.
Can you tell us anything else that you recall about the crossing as you approached it?
I did see another truck on the other side of the intersection. I was watching it as it drove toward me.
Did you hear any whistles or bells prior to entering the crossing?
No,
Did you slow down and look both ways before entering the intersection?
I believe I slowed down a little bit, but it was very hard to see with all of the trees around there.
What happened next?
I remember starting across the railroad tracks. All of a sudden, I heard a loud whistle. Before I could do anything, the train slammed into the back of my truck. I remember completely losing control of my vehicle at that point.
What do you mean specifically?
I believe I was thrown all around the interior of my vehicle.
Were you wearing a seatbelt during that time?
I believe I was, but I really don't remember specifically.
What happened next?
I believe the train dragged my truck along the tracks for a short distance. It finally came to a stop, and I was surprised I was still alive.
Do you recall what happened next?
It was very quiet for several seconds afterwards. Then I heard some shouting. I attempted to get out of my truck, but I was pinned in. Shortly thereafter, a farm neighbor apparently had come over and forced my door open, and I was able to get out of the truck.
Did you notice any injuries that you sustained?
Surprisingly, I had no broken bones. I did have a large cut on my forehead, and that was bleeding.
What happened next?
The ambulance arrived. Apparently, a couple of the farmers who lived close by had called for assistance.
What other observations did you make?
I know I looked back at the train. There were individuals from the fire department who were trying to help the people that were on the train.
Do you remember what happened to the train?
Apparently, the force of the collision made several of the cars go off the tracks. There were a lot of individuals screaming and shouting. I attempted to go back there, but the paramedics made me lie down.
Were you able to observe anything else at that time?
Oh yes, I was very upset, and I kept attempting to go back and assist everyone else. I realized it was a bad wreck. I was able to see a lot of the commotion from where I was.
What did you see?
There were a lot of people running around. More emergency vehicles were there. I recall hearing the helicopter as it approached.
Do you mean the one from the area hospital?
Yes,
Did you remain conscious the whole time?
I believe so.
How long did you remain at the scene of the accident?
It was probably half an hour or so, but I'm not really certain how long I was there.
Were you then transported to the hospital?
Yes, that's correct. I was transported by ambulance to the hospital. I was extremely upset and wanted to stay at the scene of the accident, but the paramedics insisted that I go with them.
How long did you stay at the hospital?
I was released the next day.
What did you learn about the accident after you were released from the hospital?
Fortunately, no one was killed. There were people who were injured, but I don't think any of them were very serious. I was very thankful.
I assume you talked with a law enforcement officer right at the scene. Is that true?
Yes, I did. I think you have his report.
Were you also contacted by another person after the accident?
Yes, as a matter of fact, an agent from the railroad company contacted me first. I gave a statement to her. Right after that, I got a call from a lawyer who was representing one of the people on the train.
Do you recall being contacted by anyone else?
Oh yes, I also talked to the person from the county. I believe that his concern was the lack of markings at the intersection. He also questioned me about the trees and bushes that were blocking my view.
How long was it before you found out that this accident would become the subject of some litigation?
I think I realized it would come to a lawsuit on that same morning.
Okay, let's do our takes.